What's up, y'all? I'm Lady. Welcome to another video. I'm in the car on the drive home. For some reason, I just decided to start this video during my drive to the house. I think it's to encourage me to, when I get home, to immediately sit down and go ahead and do some recording. So in this video, what you will see is my wrap up for September and October. I am also planning to do a wrap up for the summer months, right? Do a small series for my summer reading, what I read in June, July, and August. I'll do one video that is about all of the romance I read this summer. Then I'll do a nonfiction and fiction video, and then I will do a video for the graphic novels and manga that I read in this summer. So I'm using this to help me stay accountable, to make sure that I actually go ahead and record and get this content out to you all, so you all will know what I read. Because even though I was missing from this channel, I'm a reader. So even if I'm not on here talking about reading, just know that I'm reading for the most part. It may fluctuate up and down, but I'm always in the middle of a book, possibly two books. So let's get into what I read in September and October. Let's start with the graphic novels and comics that I read. I read Bitter Roots volumes 1 through 3, and that is by David F. Walker. Of course, this was a library pickup, so I'll insert a picture here. I absolutely enjoyed this series, and I am looking forward to more from this series. Hopefully there will be more. I love the social and political commentary that came with this series. It was just really good. Really, it's about a black family. It takes place in the 1920s, and they are pretty much fighting racism and hate. And those who are filled with racism and hate against people are monsters. So they're having to fight these monsters, and it comes with a lot of great commentary. Like I said, after each chapter, I would say, or each volume, there is a long write-up about different things from history, what was taking place during the time in Harlem, because that's where it is also takes place, in 1920s Harlem. And I just absolutely loved it. So I highly recommend it. I then read volumes 1 and 2 of Lady Killer, and those are the only two volumes of that. That one is by Joelle Jones. I found it pretty interesting. It's like 1950s housewife who is also an assassin on the side, and her family doesn't know about it. So I found it fun. It was definitely very graphic, the killing and everything like that in it, which is different usually from when you have assassin stories about men versus women assassins. So that one was pretty good, interesting. I did enjoy it. And then I read Queenie, which is Grandmother of Harlem by Elizabeth Columbia. I did enjoy this one as well. Queenie was in this one, was also 1920s Harlem. Yeah. And Queenie was mentioned in Bitter Roots, which I thought was good. And I, read them around the same time. So she was a drug queen pin. First, I think before she was dealing drugs, it was mostly the numbers game that was very prevalent during that time. I enjoyed the history that I learned from reading about her because it is a true story. So that is the graphic novels and comics. Then I did get some nonfiction in. I've read 3 books. Two were by Gay Hendricks, and that is The Big Leap and The Genius Zone. I first discovered Gay Hendricks when Kev on Stage and his wife Melissa Fredericks interviewed Gay Hendricks after they read the book Big Leap. And I think that was like 2020 or maybe 21. And so it has been on my list to read since then. I really enjoyed this one, those 2 books, especially The Big Leap. For The Genius Zone, it was just okay. After each chapter of The Genius Zone, it had like assignments for you to complete, and I was able to do some. And what I have learned about myself when it comes to nonfiction, like self-help books, I would say audiobook is the way to go. So because I was reading for using the audiobook, I didn't do many of the assignments, but I did like what I gathered from those 2 books. Trying to define the things that I'm good at and try my best to work at those things that I'm good at, and then probably delegating other parts of my life is what I gathered from that about, taking advantage of my time and knowing that I can control my time is things that I got from that. And the other nonfiction book I read was Atomic Habits by James Clear. This was another audiobook. Like I said, that's my best way to take this type of reading in. I love this one. I had been on hold at the library for this one since January. So when it came in, I felt like it came in at a great time for a reset. And so I really enjoyed it. What I liked most about it is taking those small things, putting these small systems in place in my everyday life that will help me reach bigger goals. If I say I want to run more often, then I put my running sneakers by the door. If I say I want to read every day before bed, going to bed, then I put a book on my pillow. Things, little small things like that. The little small systems that we put in our life sets us up for success. And also watching the words that we say. I like that he talked about that as well. Changing little words, such as saying, oh, do I have to do that, versus, oh, I get to do that. Little things like that, those little small habits can make a big difference in your life. So I really did enjoy that, and I will take those little things with me moving forward. I read one fantasy, and that was The City We Became by N.K. Jemisin. This was my first N.K. Jemisin, and I did enjoy it. I listened to the audio as well as read some of it since I do own the book. This was good. I don't know if I'll continue with the series because I do believe that it is, well, I know there's one other book out. I don't know if there will be a third one or not. But The City We Became is about the city of New York and its various boroughs actually becoming people, like becoming living, breathing entities, and how when they're becoming, or I guess coming alive, how there are entities in place to try to stop the birth of the city. So it was a very eclectic group of characters, and I think it was a good introduction for me to N.K. Jemisin. I'm not really heavy on fantasy, I guess, but I think I did enjoy that one. And then the horror. thrillers, mysteries. What did I read? I read All the Sinners Bleed by S.A. Cosby, and I was hooked. um I think I can't remember what was the synopsis. Try my best to put synopsis in the description box since I'm not going too much in detail about it. But I love the main character who is elected sheriff to this small town, and the racism that's going on. Somebody is murdered. There's a police shooting. Something happened at a school, and what led to all of this. And that is what the sheriff has to find out while dealing with people who do not even want him to be the sheriff, because of this town's long history of racism. Okay. Excellent. I love the way he reads. I am planning to read all of S.A. Cosby after enjoying All the Sinners Bleed. Then I read The Fervor, which is by Emma Katsu. This one was for our October read in book club. And this one was different. For this one to be a horror, it was involving this mother and daughter who were placed in the internment camps during World War II here in America. They were Japanese. The mother was Japanese, but she was married to a white man who went off to war, and the mother and child ended up being placed in the camp, and something fishy is going on. There's an illness breaking out in the camp, as well as other parts of the country. And we also meet this lady who is a journalist during this time, single. So she is, a bit ahead of her time. So we meet her and trying to figure out what's going on, what's causing this mystery illness. So that was a different type of read for me, but I'm glad I read it. And then the last book, Joplins Ghost by Tana Navari Dew, or let me say that again. Tanana Dew. I don't know why I have to stop and pause when saying her name, but I read Joplin's Ghost, which it had a lot going on in that book. So we followed the main character who, as a little girl, she has a accident that happens with this old piano that is thought to be haunted, and then pretty much she is just what's the word I'm looking for, chosen by Joplin's ghost to get out his music. So we learn a lot about Scott Joplin, and we follow his life until death, as well as while we're following and hearing about his life, we are following the main character as she goes about her music career. And when I tell you, it was a lot going on in this book, but I absolutely enjoyed it. I did listen to some of the audiobook, but I couldn't really get with the narrator's voice. So I really enjoyed just picking up and reading that book and taking my time with it. So that is it. That is all I read in September and October. Let me know if you have read any of these books in the comment section below. Like I said, I only briefly touched on synopsises, so I'll try to put links in the description box. And that's it for me in this video. I'm Lady, and I will see you all in my next one.